What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel, and in this video I'm going to be getting into a few different topics today. But the first thing I want to start with is the Christian McCaffrey trade to the San Francisco 49ers. So for those of you that don't know, this past Thursday night, former Panthers running back, All-Pro Christian McCaffrey was traded to the San Francisco 49ers from the Carolina Panthers in exchange for a bevy of draft picks. I think the Niners' second, third, and fourth round this year, and then fifth next year. It's something like that, a combination of picks. So the Niners are going all in on this roster. And just to start out with this trade, we knew the Panthers were bad this year. They started out really bad. Baker Mayfield turned out not to be so good coming from Cleveland, and Matt Rule turned out to not be the head coach that they thought they were getting when they gave him a 7-year contract, which they're still going to be paying him money for, even though they fired him, which is crazy. And so the Panthers kind of started out bad, lost some close games, and then lost some blowouts where they clearly show that they're not that good of a team this year, and arguably might be the worst team in the NFL this year, may get the number 1 pick in next year's draft, but that's besides the point. So the Panthers fire Matt Rule and their defensive coordinator after their first few weeks, essentially telling their fans that they think their season's over. So what do? Next? They trade their all-pro running back Christian McCaffrey, who was very productive for them, an all-pro, one of the best 3 running backs in the league when healthy. And they trade him to the Niners because basically they don't want him being on the team, a running back who's injury-prone, making a lot of money. And so maybe this means they trade DJ Moore also, their wide receiver, who has been very productive over the last few years. They said they're not going to do that, but we'll see. In terms of how this trade affects the 49ers, I think that their offense is going to be that much more difficult to stop. It sucks that Trey Lance got injured, but we've seen what they can do with Jimmy Garoppolo. When healthy and with the necessary weapons, he can win games. And so the Niners will have Deebo Samuel on the outside, Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield, and George Kittle at the tight end spot. Trent Williams should be coming back in a few weeks, so that's going to help out their team as well. And so I just think in the NFC West, the division that has been pretty disappointing this year, the Niners look like the best team, even though they have a 3-3 record and have key injuries on their defense. So as of right now, I think they should be the team that wins that division. And I think the Christian McCaffrey trade, look, it's a risk. You're going all in. You're essentially saying that you believe in this next 2 to 3 year window, the Niners can get to and win a Super Bowl. Because they gave up most of their draft picks to get Trey Lance, so they don't have any first round picks. And then they just gave up whatever picks they had left to get Christian McCaffrey. So you're obviously banking on the fact that you think McCaffrey can stay healthy and play at that all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber level that he displayed with the Carolina Panthers. And plus, for those of you that don't know, he did go to college at Stanford, so he's going back to the Bay Area where he played his college ball. So, and at the time of this recording, the Niners are set to play the Chiefs this Sunday afternoon and a rematch of Super Bowl 54. So Christian McCaffrey is expected to make his debut. So we shall see how he plays in that game. And so that's really all the NFL I wanted to get into this video. And so for the next topic, I want to talk about the NBA. And I want to talk about the Sixers because this is a big year for the Sixers. They're considered, on paper, maybe to be the best team in the East because they have Joel Embiid, who at his best is a top 5 to 7 player, depending on where you want to put him. MVP caliber player, has been a finalist over the last 2 years. And then they have James Harden, who's historically been one of the best perimeter threats, one of the best scorers we've seen of all time, and they're combining for their second year. This is supposed to be a big year because Harden's coming back healthy, in better shape, and they have a bunch of talent around them. Tyrese Maxey, who's proven to be an excellent guard, who they stole him in the draft, so they have him. They have Tobias Harris. They acquired DeAnthony Melton, sharpshooter from the Grizzlies. And so this is supposed to be the year where the Sixers sort of put it all together. The Celtics are still the betting favorites, I think, to win the East. And then the Bucks obviously have Giannis, who's the best player in the conference. But this is supposed to be the year where if the Sixers put everything together, can stay healthy, and can find a way to coexist, they should make the finals this year. People have finals expectations for them. And they need to at least get to the conference finals because they haven't done that in this Joel Embiid and process era. And so Doc Rivers is definitely on the hot seat if this season does not go as planned. Just to sort of recap, they opened their season against the Celtics on the road, in Boston. And that ended up being a close game for about 3.5 quarters until Boston just absolutely pulled away and dominated as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined for 70 points. But the takeaway from that game was Sixers fans should be encouraged because James Harden looked good. He looked quick, he looked decisive, he was hitting shots. He looked like Houston Harden, and he looked like that Harden that the Nets got in those first few weeks when he was looking like an MVP caliber player. And the only problem that I sort of have with this Philly offense is it sort of looks like in order for Harden's doing good, but it also means that he's dominating the basketball, which is not good for Joel Embiid, someone who puts up very high numbers, very good numbers, and the only way to do that is to have the basketball in your hands. So the Sixers need to figure out how to sort of work this offense so that the two of them could dominate at the same time. Because in the first game, Harden came out and scored 35 against the Celtics, then had 31 against the Bucks in their home opener that they lost at the last second after Wesley Matthews made that clutch three to put them up 1, and they lost 90-88. Very low scoring game. And Joel Embiid did not play well in either of those first two games. In Boston, he was stifled. He finished the game with a good stat line. I think it was like 26 and 10 on 50% shooting or something like that. But if you actually watched the game, you saw that Celtics defense was suffocating him. They were finding ways to force him into turnovers, make his life uncomfortable down in the paint. And then in their home opener against Giannis and the Bucks, he started off fine. I think he scored like 15 in the first half, but he scored nothing, 0 points, 0 of 7 shooting in the second half. And if you're a superstar, that just can't happen. You can't get taken out of the game like that. You have to at least make your mark somehow on the game. And he was getting his shots blocked at the rim. He wasn't hitting his jumpers. He missed some free throws. For jumpers for Joel Embiid, those mid-range jumpers, he's usually pretty good at those, but he wasn't hitting anything against Milwaukee. And Harden had 31, like I said before, and the Sixers were down 13, and Harden was hitting clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot to bring them back into the game, and it just wasn't enough because it fried out in the end. James Harden tried to get the game winner and tried to draw a foul on Drew Holiday, but they didn't call it. And so if the Sixers had gotten anything from Joel Embiid in that second half, you can make an argument that the Sixers should have won that game at least. But Joel Embiid didn't give them anything, and it was sort of up to James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, who were the two best players that night, to sort of bring the Sixers back into the game. And they couldn't get the job done in the end. And then just in their recent game Saturday against the Spurs, they just lost. Embiid had 40 points and 13 rebounds, great bounce back game. But the only other problem is Harden played like garbage. He was trash. He had like 12 points or something like that, was missing shots all over the place. And so the Sixers need to figure out how to get this offense to sort of coexist so that both of these guys can dominate at the same time. And it'll be interesting to see as this season goes along for the Sixers if they continue to play like this or if they turn it around, because they need to turn it around quickly. It's only been 3 games out of an 82-game season, but if you know sports and you know Philly sports in particular, those fans want to see their team win. They don't really have the patience for sloppiness or unfulfilling expectations, because as we saw in the second round conference semifinal series between the Sixers and the Hawks, they will boo you on the court like they did to Ben Simmons. They did it to Joel Embiid this past Thursday night when he wasn't playing well. Those Sixers fans want to win, and they don't. And if the team is not playing to its expectations, they're going to let them know about it, and it's going to get messy in Philly if they can't turn it around. And that starts with Doc Rivers, because he needs to figure out a way to not sort of rely too much on the stars and the talent of the Sixers, but to figure out how to make this roster coexist, because they have a lot of new guys. Like PJ Tucker's a new guy, DeAnthony Melton's a new guy. The only guys who have been on this roster for long enough are like Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. This is Harden's second year, and then they have some glue guys off the bench like Niang's been there for a while, but they need to figure out a way to make this roster and these players coexist to where both James Harden and Joel Embiid can get their own on basically every single night. They both need to be dominating. It's okay to have a bad game here and there. Everyone has bad games. But to start the season, it sort of looks like the Sixers don't have that chemistry figured out yet, and that's what's sort of concerning about them. And so that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts on the Christian McCaffrey trade to the San Francisco 49ers, on whether or not you think it will work out in the long run. And then let me know your thoughts about the Sixers. Is it time to cause for pause in Philly? Or is there cause to pause in Philly? And are there any concerns about them that you have going forward. Thanks for watching this video, and make sure to find all my other content linked in the description.